Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today we actually ended up getting the brand new season 1 patch notes a little bit early for Black Ops 6 and Warzone. Typically the patch notes are always dropping like an hour or two before the update goes live in the morning, but we actually got them basically a full day early, of course like 10 minutes after we just posted about the new weapons update. But nonetheless, we've got a lot of patch notes to go through and break down for both multiplayer and Warzone alike. So as we do dive into all the details here, if you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always seriously appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, just under 60% of viewers watching are not already subscribed. So if that's you, I'd love to have you join us on the road to 1 million. Every single day, I got you covered with news, updates, patch notes, meta breakdowns. It's all right here. And obviously, with the launch of season 1, we've got so much content coming up that you're not going to want to miss any of it. Also, apologies if there's like background noise. There are people working on my house today, and that's just more COD timing. But it is what it is. We'll get through the patch notes. So we've got our season 1 update. Obviously, we've already covered a lot of the content coming with this patch over the past week or so, with the blog, the roadmap, everything like that. So of course we got a handful of new multiplayer maps coming: hideout, heirloom, extraction. We've got a couple of new modes, prop hunts returning in season. That's going to be a ton of fun. Ransack at launch, of course. A bunch of weapons that we just covered in a video. If you haven't caught that video yet, breaking down basically all the weapons, how they're going to work, how they're going to behave, everything like that. That'll be linked in the description below, and also at the end of this video if you want to go and check that out in full detail. New attachments are coming for zombies and multiplayer alike, so that's pretty cool. We also have new perks coming. Shadow is going to be a strategist perk at launch. Then we also have the hand cannon coming. That's going to be wild to run around with, and that's in zombies too, so that'll be actually really fun in the crafting table. Bunch of new operators, obviously, through just general gameplay, through the battle pass, through store bundles, everything like that. Like I said, we've covered a lot of the content over the past couple of days. The hit list event, obviously a lot of stuff coming mid-season as well with zombies and everything going on there. We do then have our global updates though. So Ricochet has some new updates here. Treyarch has delivered several updates to combat disruptive behavior, including enhanced AFK detections to battle against account boosting, that's solid, adjusting ping thresholds to require players play matches in their region to cut down VPN abuse. I love that. Neither of those things should be in the game to begin with. To unlock ranked play in Black Ops 6, players will need to win 50 match-made multiplayer matches. You have to win 50 matches, so that's even more than just playing 50 matches. This ensures players are experienced enough. Then also, Team Ricochet utilizes its replay investigation tool to monitor replays on top of players and the reports that they issue as well. Detection systems implemented and deployed at launch from Ricochet to collect data are being activated to help flag accounts beginning with season 1. The security system updates will also be active in Warzone as well for ranked, and that launches at mid-season. We also have the new armory update going live in Black Ops 6 season 1 reloaded, and then in Warzone the armory is going to be available at player level 24 at season 1 launch. So if you missed any content from MW2, MW3, or potentially if you missed any content throughout the year in Black Ops 6 events, the armory is going to be there for that. Now, a couple of campaign updates here. They made improvements to the mission intro sequence animations. Then there were also a handful of specific bug fixes here. Feel free to pause the video if you want to read the exact details with that. For multiplayer updates, we have several different map updates. With Lowtown, they addressed an issue with water flickering. On Protocol, they addressed an issue where water would flicker for some players. Then also they adjusted the S&D A bomb site. On Red Card, they addressed an issue where several players could get outside of the map. And then on Vault, they adjusted the A S&D bomb site as well. Spawn logic updates across several maps to reduce the chances of spawning near enemies. Adjusted start spawns in Subsonic as well. With modes, addressed an issue across several maps where hardpoint zones can be captured outside of intended boundaries. Addressed an issue where incorrect icons could display next to the hardpoint icon. Addressed an issue where the bomb and S&D cannot be retrieved. And then also an issue where the time was almost up line would play too frequently in gunfight. They really wanted you to know that the time was almost up. In game chat, they addressed an issue where you could not go through and actually hear players at the end of a match or between rounds in like search and destroy. That's a huge update too. Now, weapon updates. Throughout the preseason, we've seen a steady and healthy variety of weapon usage. Most weapons sit quite closely in both performance and pick rate, with no weapons dominating in both areas. As such, our first round of season 1 tuning changes will not be introducing any major shifts, and instead focusing on elevating some of the weapons at the bottom of the pack. I love that. We're also addressing feedback regarding assault rifle damage in hardcore and completing our our adjustments on the shotgun slug attachment. Reminder, we are using the new damage adjustments table to explain everything. All motions adjusted weapon motion while moving and changing stances to improve aiming, feel, and centering. That's awesome. Hold breath focus state will now be maintained, and improved weapon depth of field settings when performing a weapon inspect. So for rifles, we are increasing the damage values for some of the rifles to ensure that they kill in just one bullet in hardcore modes. The headshot multiplier changes have either kept the bullets to kill within the headshot the same or even improved them in some minimum damage ranges. So in the XM4, damage buff in the close range there, medium range damage buff, long range damage buff. They did end up nerfing the headshot multiplier though, and on the headshot barrel, that's also slightly been reduced. On the aims, max damage range damage buff, and then also a minimum damage buff as well. Headshot multiplier reduced, same deal on the barrel there. On the GPR, in addition to hardcore adjustments, we're further improving some handling times on this, so its damage gets buffed across the board. Headshot multiplier reduced, sprint to fire buff though, tack sprint to fire buff, slide to fire, and dive to fire buffs as well. Headshot barrel nerf there. On the Goblin, also some adjustments here. Improved all speeds across the board, then sprint to fire buff, and then tack sprint buff. For SMGs here, the compact can now kill with one-shot headshots and hardcore at its max damage range. Bullets to kill at the minimum damage range have not changed. So really all they're changing here is just the headshot damage in hardcore, then the minimum damage, our long damage range basically has slightly worse damage there. Headshot multiplier was buffed though in general. On shotguns, the Strelok laser increased the time it takes to reach ADS spread from 20% of the ADS speed to 70%. Then on slugs, slugs now allow players to run shotguns as mid-range precision weapons, they're saying, so they'll have better range now with that, as they should be. So here on the Marine, the damage was actually buffed, but the range was severely nerfed up close. Its medium damage got some buffs as well, range nerfs. Its second medium got a damage buff and a range buff though, and then same deal in its third medium damage range. Then its long damage range or last damage drop off got a slight range buff as well. Headshot multiplier was increased on the slugs, upper torso multipliers were increased, and then also the hip spread is increased there. Then on the ASG, close range damage buff, but close range nerf, medium range damage nerf, but a range buff. Same deal with its medium damage buff there, and then also its range got buffed in its second damage drop, then third damage drop, damage buff, and then range buff. Then in its long range damage buff and range buff as well. So shotguns are gonna have noticeably better range, it seems like, for the most part here, except for their damage in its closest range. Then additional slug adjustments, headshot buff, upper torso and arm multiplier buff, and a hip spread increased by 20%. With marksmans, we're adjusting handling stats on burst rifles so they're more squarely sitting in their roles basically. The SWAT 5.56 has a lower fire rate within each burst and more recoil, making it better for mid-range. Meanwhile, the AEK has better stability and precision, but a longer burst delay to make it a riskier pick. We're also significantly reducing the power of the AEK rapid fire because it had the best TTK in the entire game, of course. So with the SWAT general adjustments, ADS speed buff, sprint to fire buff, tack sprint buff, rapid fire, the gun kick basically is a lot worse now. There's way more recoil on it. Then on the AEK, same deal there, sprint to fire increased actually, then also tack sprint increased as well. Keep in mind they use improved for buffs, but increased can be nerfs here, so it's going to have a slower tack sprint, a slower sprint to fire time there. For attachments, rapid fire, the rate of fire was actually reduced, the delay was increased, and then also more recoil there as well. Snipers, we've been monitoring a bunch of feedback on snipers and are making some changes to promote more build diversity and improve the sniping experience. We're lowering the baseline flinch, that's solid. The resulting received flinch values are much lower up front and just a bit lower overall after equipping some stocks. We're also increasing aim walking movement bonuses on stock attachments to make those choices more valuable. Lastly, we are improving the ADS idle sway delay by default on all snipers, meaning that on average there'll be less deviation from your point of aim when you're centering. That is huge. The centering's been super shaky because of the sway, so that should make you more accurate when you are lining up with your center dot. All snipers now have 1 second of 50% idle sway scaling at the beginning of ADS. All snipers have base flinch resistance improved by 17%. We see the frost lines falling behind the LR762 and are buffing its handling and idle sway to make it a more appealing choice in spite of its limited one-shot potential. So ADS speed improved, sprint to fire improved, tack sprint improved there, ADS idle sway reduced. Then also on attachments, the infiltrator stock is now better for movement. Heavy stock decreased the flinch resistance. Headshot barrel recoil penalty is higher now than on the combat stock. Strafe speed improved, flinch resistance decreased. On the SVD, they introduced a delay after firing before a new shot can be queued. This does not change the rate of fire, but prevents accidentally firing an extra shot by pulling the trigger. Sprint to fire improved, tack sprint to fire improved. On the infiltrator stock, it's better strafe, worse flinch resistance on the heavy stock. Headshot barrel, more recoil. Combat stock, better strafe. flinch resistance decrease, so same attachment changes as on the Frost line. And it looks like the same attachment changes are also being made on the LR762, and then the tac sprint to fire was improved there as well. With Gunsmith, they've updated various descriptions, addressed an issue where stickers would appear in the decal slot. For perks, they did a slight reduction to the Ninja footstep volume, addressed an issue that prevented Gear Head from being able to booby trap enemy care packages, and addressed an issue preventing equipment from replenishing with Scavenger. On the Archangel, they addressed an issue where the rocket would sometimes explode immediately near a wall, addressed an issue with some daily challenge tracking, an issue causing players to be slowed when shot while mantling. They added Nuketown and private match recordings back into theater, and then also addressed some stability stuff there. For UI, they closed an exploit allowing players to use an operator they didn't have unlocked, addressed an issue where the after action report could not be closed when entering the scoreboard tab, addressed an issue where earned and unearned medals were not displaying correctly, and an issue with some attachment selections with skins. They also addressed some issues with effects on weapons and added numerous stability fixes for multiplayer as well. We then get into the zombies updates here. So on Terminus, they addressed an issue where diffuse progress was sometimes not saved if the player was stopped during the Apocalypse Protocol main quest step, an issue where entering the Casimir after completing the main quest would teleport the player to the boss arena and then down you, an issue where loading into games after unlocking a pack-a-punch machine could cause some issues, an issue with the main quest where connecting both node connectors would cause overlapping voice lines, an issue with some ammo cache on the seaside path, bugging there too. Liberty Falls updated the first Mangler whose armor is blown off to always drop a Mangler cannon, then also resolved an issue where blank card would not be present during some dialogue. We also have some zombies weapon adjustments, which is kind of interesting. The recent changes to assault rifle in zombies were unintended carryover from a global weapon update. We do not intend to inherit all multiplayer tuning without looking at how it affects zombies tuning as well. So they actually corrected that in this update. All assault rifles have had their pack-a-punch base damage and overall critical damage increased. While you may see the word decrease in a few places, the performance for these weapons is better. Additionally, the HE1 launcher got a buff as well. In pack-a-punch, it'll have more stock ammo and better explosions. So on the aims, its damage is better, its crit multiplier is better, and its crit damage is better. On the AK-74, better damage, and then same crit multiplier, but better crit damage. On the AS-Val, it's better damage, worse crit multiplier, but better crit damage. On the Model L, better damage, better multiplier, better crit damage. On the XM4, better damage, and then better crit damage as well. On the GPR, better damage, worse multiplier, but better crit damage. Then on the HE1, increased the stock ammo up to 11, and then adjusted the explosion radius, so it's going to be better there now. We do have several bug fixes with camos not being applied to your zombie builds, an exploit allowing you to have 3 weapons, an issue where the wall by rarity would not reset loading into a save, an issue where yellow damage numbers would appear with the critical spot with a ray gun. Quick revive on Dying Wish addressed an issue where Dying Wish would activate when diving from larger heights while protected from fall damage. On Elemental Pop, an issue with the normal ammo mod activations. On Juggernaut with Turtle Shell, that'll now apply damage mitigation when being grabbed. Then on PhD Flopper, they addressed an issue when diving onto an elevated or inclined surface. With Gobblegums, they addressed an issue that prevented players revived by the near-death experience from keeping all their perks. With Field Upgrades, they adjusted the description for the Energy Mine. They increased the Dark Flare damage and addressed an issue with the extra charge on Field Upgrades not always working with the save. For various support updates here, they addressed an issue with Mutant Injection ending too soon, an issue that allowed players to pick up a sentry when using the Mutant Injection, then also reduced the self-damage from the LDBR. They closed an exploit that allowed you to keep a save file after you already loaded it, so you can't keep going back into the same files there. Then they made a bunch of enemy adjustments here, an issue where zombies charmed by Brain Rot could prevent the player from doing an exfil, an issue where loading a save would disable the Rage Inducer, an issue where zombies would throw guts at the end camera if the player leaves a match too soon, various different updates on Terminus, and also Liberty Falls there too. For activities, addressed an issue that would prevent one elite from spawning consistently during exfil from round 16 onward. They updated some SAM trial progress, and then on Terminus, an issue where players would be able to use equipment, score streaks, and fire weapons during the boat race sequence. Addressed an issue where XP was being awarded to all weapons being used in an assist instead of just the last one. If 2 weapons were used in an assist, only the last one was getting players, so they updated that there. They also made several different challenge updates here. Once more, if you want to read the specifics, feel free to go ahead and pause the video there. We've updated the detection logic to determine if a player is AFK during an active match, and this should reduce the amount of false positive AFK kicks in zombies. They also added an AFK kick warning to the UI, so that's pretty solid there. They did make several UI adjustments as well. Once more, if you want to read the exact details, feel free to go ahead and pause there. Several different graphic updates and stability updates where they were actually specific here. An issue where the game would crash when attempting to start a solo match in split screen, an issue where sometimes the player would be unable to save and quit with a new error, then also numerous other stability fixes. So that's all the multiplayer and zombies patch notes. We also have tons of Warzone patch notes as well. So here, season 1 is imminent. Tomorrow, of course, when all these patch notes are live, you'll get your chance to wreak havoc with everything going on. Same Ricochet updates that we just covered over on the multiplayer side of things here. So they're just revisiting all of that. We've got the hit list event coming up. We'll be covering that once that's fully out. Warzone. So obviously we've got our new map with Area 99. We know all about this by now. We know Urzikstan is going to be returning. There's not going to be many new changes with the overall map layout, which is definitely a bummer in my opinion. Rebirth is also returning as well. With new map adjustments, all vehicles have improved handling. That's awesome. The new dirt bike is going to be available. All new Black Ops 6 ground loot and weapons and equipment are going to be there. Lighting and visual updates with the Black Ops 6 technology. Audio improvements for footsteps as well. On Rebirth, the submarine POI now appears 100% of the time. Redeployed drones increased the spawn count for those, so they'll be better and more balanced in later circles. The bioscan rewards for the bioscanner and weapon trade station have been rebalanced and updated to Black Ops 6 loot. We're obviously going to have Battle Royale, Resurgence, and Plunder. Their boot camp is also still going to be available on Urzikstan 2. In Resurgence, players will receive an additional 25% discount in the buy station on redeploy squad mate while the Resurgence timer is still active. We also have a new playlist update. So for this week, November 14th to the 18th, we've got Battle Royale, solos, duos, trios, and quads on Urzikstan. On Resurgence, solos, duos, trios, and quads on Area 99, and then Plunder quads on Urzikstan. Rebirth will be entering the game on November 18th. Now, with general updates, carry forward, weapon blueprints, operators, and skins, pretty much everything from MW2 and MW3 are still available in the Black Ops 6 era of Warzone. We've updated detection to determine if a player is AFK during a match. To accommodate and track new stats coming with Black Ops 6, the Warzone leaderboard is being fully reset. We also have the armory coming in as mentioned, so this allows you to get any potential MW2 or MW3 stuff you didn't earn because you didn't play those games, or potential Black Ops 6 stuff that you missed if you don't play like a certain event or anything there. We do have the full same progression as Black Ops 6, so yes, Prestige is now within Warzone. We've got new Warzone Mastery camo, so you're going to be able to go through and actually do Warzone specific camo challenges, and I think that's going to be a ton of fun. New combat, we've got the body shield, so you can actually interrogate an enemy, use them as a body shield. There's going to be the dedicated melee that you can pull out for better movement speed. Doors can now be shot open, allowing for new tactics and strategy. Combat adjustments, primary weapon, the loadout inventory is returning to the classic Warzone experience where you do not have overkill. It's one primary weapon. There's a wild card for overkill though. Self-revive auto pickup, when downed, players will now be able to automatically loot self-revive kits that are within close proximity. That's awesome. Live ping duration has been shortened. Armor plate replacement speed is now increased by 8%. There's the abandon timer. The timer must wait to give up has been reduced, so you can give up a little bit quicker now. The Death's Door, the health at which players will enter the Death's Door state has been reduced from 50 to 35. The health at which the Death's Door state has been reduced from 70% to 55%. This change is due to us wanting to enable players to hear and see their surroundings better when under threat there. So it should be less obnoxious on your screen there when you're super low health. Obviously, we've got Omni movement now there, so you can slide, dive, prone in every which way direction. That's going to be awesome. All the intelligent assists for sprint assist, mantle assist, crouch, all that is also going to be available there too. Unlimited tack sprint, well, you'll have access to that if you have your dedicated melee weapon or if you use the sprinter perk. Mantle protection, players will now climb onto thin or higher ledges rather than over them to prevent untimely deaths. I love that as well. Movement adjustments, tack sprint duration. We heard the feedback around default tack sprint, so it's been increased by an additional 2 seconds. Landing tuning, the duration of the shock effect when falling near death height has been reduced, so that's solid there. The minimum fall damage required before the shock effect from landing is now 55%, up from 50%, allowing for higher jumps with less punishment. This change is also better to enable the movement opportunities with Black Ops 6. Vertical ascenders and then also zip lines have improved interaction. That's a W. Redeploy drones are now fixed in place for the duration of the match. Once a redeploy drone has been consumed by the gas, it will leave rather than relocating. We obviously have the streamlined inventory, no more backpacks. We've known about that for a little while. The general perk system is also being updated here, so lootable perks each season. Players will encounter a number of perks that are available only via ground loot and supply boxes. These perk effects stack on top of your pick 3. When a player is eliminated, their pick 3 perks drop as ground loot as a custom perk package, just like before. The lootable perks players can find include a mix of perks from the 18 possible pick 3 perks, in addition to shrouded and irradiated, which are extra ground loot specific there. There's also the specialist perk package, which gives you all 18 perks. You can also buy that in limited quantities for 30 grand. Then pre-match perks can now be edited in the pre-match lobby. We obviously have all of our available perks. We've known about these for some time with Veteran, Grenadier, Dexterity, Scavenger, Survivor. We've got Quartermaster, Bomb Squad, Tracker, Sprinter, which is going to be huge for tac sprint there, Cold-Blooded, and then Quick Fix, Gung Ho, Resolute, Ghost, Bird's Eye, Tempered, and then also Alertness. We've got Shrouded and then Irradiated there for our lootable perks. Now, of course, our wild cards. We've heard about these a little bit before as well. Bandolier gives you a munition satchel, and it's only available in Warzone. Overkill gives you 2 primary or secondary weapons. Gunfighter gives you 3 extra attachment points for your primary weapon, but only on Black Ops 6 weapons. So that's actually really important there. Then Battle Ready, your loadout provides you a UAV and a utility box, which is pretty cool as well. We also have new satchels. You can actually equip both of these. So the armor satchel gives you more plates you can carry. Munitions gives you more ammo, obviously there. New equipment is available as well. We've got the frag, the new spring mine, which is basically a bouncing Betty, Semtex, C4, thermo grenades, the impact grenade, the Molotovs, the throwing knives, the blast trap from BO6, the drill charge, and the combat axe. We also have tac equipment with the prox alarm, concussion, flashbang, snapshot, the spy camera, which will be pretty interesting, smokes, experimental gas, the stim shot, decoys, shock charge, and then also the neurogas. And yes, we are still going. There are so many patch notes here. So equipment adjustments. With the Black Ops 6 integration, we've adjusted a number of the lethal and tactical equipment to offer new and fresh arsenal choices. So maximum deployed equipment, the maximum number of lethal and tactical equipment that can be planted is now 3, up from 2. We've aligned the changes here with multiplayer, basically. Frag, they adjusted the damage here a little bit. Then also there's a cooking indicator. Players will now notice the UI indicator to better determine the remaining time until a frag blows up. Semtexes, they adjusted the damage here as well. Knives, the damage was actually decreased a little bit from Warzone 3. Same deal with the drill charge damage. Molotov burn stage damage was reduced. For smokes, it's now updated to the Black Ops 6 visuals. Experimental gas will now do 10 damage per tick. Then the snapshot radius was actually increased, and you get a marker over a successfully snapped target. We also have new kill streaks available in Black Ops 6 Warzone. So the care package is going to be available. So will the napalm strike, the SAM turret that's shooting down enemy vehicles and attacks, the sentry, the UAV, the advanced UAV, the bunker buster, the cluster, the counter UAV, foresight, precision, and supply UAV are all returning there. The trophy will now counter bunker busters though, so that's interesting. New field upgrades as well. The scrambler, which jams the radar, of course. Warcry, which gives you better movement and health regen for a duration. The armor box, munitions, the decontamination station, deployable buy stations, deployable cover, the heartbeat, the loadout drop, portable radar, portable redeploy drone, the standard recon drone for pinging, the redeploy drone beacon, the reinforcement flare, the trophy, and the utility box are all still there as well. With field upgrade adjustments, the heartbeat sensor, the warning now displays highlights in red when enemies are within 15 meters, up from 7 meters there. The time between pings has been reduced. Munis can now grant 3 clips of ammo for every type rather than just refilling your primary and your secondary ammo, so you'll be able to actually stock up more ammo there. That's cool. Portable radar, the duration of this was increased. A personal redeploy drone deploys 50% faster. I love that. No longer prohibits firing while in use too. That's awesome. The flare is 30% faster, and then also on the trophy, the counter charges are up to 5 from 3. Now, a deep dive into the weapons. We've expanded the Warzone arsenal with Black Ops 6 weapons, giving you even more to customize. At launch, Black Ops 6 weapons in Warzone will share similar values to their multiplayer counterparts, such as ADS, sprint to fire, and recoil. However, damage profiles for a number of weapons have been modified to establish a baseline for Warzone. We encourage new and returning players to study their favorite attachments. With the integration of Black Ops 6, we also have new tuning options for weapons that previously weren't available, allowing us to adjust aspects like handling, magazine sizes, recoil, and more. For instance, the S-Val has a default of 20 in multiplayer. We've set it to 30 for Warzone. That was actually one of my big concerns there. Our goal is to make weapons dynamic and feels just generally competitive. With these tuning options, we aim to refine each weapon's identity. Additionally, all bolt action snipers and pump action shotguns for Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, and Black Ops 6 will have a one-shot headshot potential within their max damage ranges. So that's going to be super important there. Shotties are going to be crazy. Additionally, in order to incentivize intentional aim, all shotguns will fire 5 pellets while ADSing versus 4 from the hip. We want players to feel that weapons from MW2 and MW3 are still solid. I actually like the sounds of that. We'll have to see how it plays. Black Ops 6 weapons have unique Warzone damage profile. We've adjusted several attachments though. On the CHF barrel, that's the headshot barrel. For rifles, LMGs, DMRs, SMGs, and pistols, this now grants you an increased neck multiplier rather than a head multiplier. For snipers and shotguns, it gives you increased leg modifiers instead of arm modifiers. The flip magazine capacity from multiplayer, that has actually been removed. The penalty applied with that, so it now matches the weapon's base mag, so it's basically just a fast mag there. Rapid fire now applies a base damage penalty in Warzone, along with greater penalties decrease to velocity and range, so rapid fire is looking like it's going to be a no-go. MW2 and MW3 weapons, a visual recoil reduction pass has been applied. That's huge. Barrel and stock attachments from MW2 have had their penalties reduced. Additionally, a significant balance pass has been completed for underbarrel and muzzle attachments. All cons have been removed from these attachments, meaning they now only provide stat boosts. I love this. With each subcategory featuring basically identical stuff except for cosmetic differences. Amp attachments in these slots, however, retain their base functionality. So muzzles on suppressors, these boost velocity and damage range. Compensators improve control. Flash hiders increase damage range and firing aim stability, and then breachers enhance melee. Underbarrels, angled grips increase hip fire and tack stance accuracy. Hand stops improve sprint to fire and ADS. Vertical grips enhance control. I love that. All MW2 and MW3 weapons now have corner splicing as well. Global weapon builds are still in the game. I don't like them. They get in the way. I'm not a fan of those. We obviously have our new Season 1 weapons as well. New attachments are coming throughout the season with Dragon's Breath, the buffer weight stock, burst fire for the XM4, and the Compact 92 as well. The following weapon adjustments are strictly limited to MW2 and MW3 weapons. It's a lot. Feature patch notes for Black Ops 6 weapons will follow the table format here, so we can actually see all of these. We're not going to go into the exact specifics for every one of these, otherwise we'd be here for 20 hours. But with this, the TAC 56 basically seeing buffs across the board there. Same deal with the ISO Hemlock as well. Kastov getting some changes there to its range increases. Kastov 545 gets its range increases as well. 74U, same deal. STB max damage range increased, minimum damage decrease though, so there are some nerfs in here, but it's going to be mostly buffs, I'd have to imagine. Advancer gets range increases, damage increases. Razorback gets range decrease, but also medium damage increases there. Lockman 556 max damage range buff, minimum damage buff there, so that's going to be better. Geist actually sees some max or some close range nerfs, but ends up getting its second damage range removed there. M4 max damage range buffed there. Headshot modifier buff, so that's getting better. Chimera lower torso ends up getting decreased a little bit. M13, some ranges actually get decreased. M13C damage buffs, range buffs there, but also decreased for the medium. M16 on the Patriot conversion kit actually gets its damage ranges decreased a tad bit there. The STG, the long lasting meta, actually ends up seeing some nerfs to its close damage, but then its ranges do get buffed a little bit there, and its velocity got a hard nerf there for sure. Holger ends up getting some range decreases and modifier decreases. MTZ 556 ends up getting some range decreases and headshot decreases. MCW some range decreases as well. BAL 27 same deal, velocity nerf. BP 50 velocity nerf. Ram 7 same deal. SVA same deal. For battle rifles, the DTIR damage ends up getting nerfed there. They've also removed the medium damage range 1 and 2 and gets worse velocity as well. ISO 45 ends up getting some buffs to its range and damage, but its headshot modifier gets nerfed. Its arm modifier gets buffed. ISO 9mm gets some range buffs there and also a leg modifier buff. Hurricane gets some range increases, headshot nerfs though, other modifier changes as well. Of course, if you want to read the exact number specifics, as always, feel free to pause. MX9 seeing various different buffs and nerfs to its ranges and modifiers. Mini Bach buffs to its close damage, but nerfs to its range there. Lockman sub better range across the board, it seems like. Vel 46 maximum range decreased, which is actually kind of surprising because that was one of the better ones. Headshot modifier decreased as well, which is interesting. Bass P ends up getting some decreases to its max damage range, but then its medium damage range gets a buff and a nerf depending on which one you're in there. P90 max damage buff, but range nerf there. Fennec range buff there as well, and also some modifier buffs. Shroud ends up getting some decreases to its damage range on the Decimator conversion kit. AMR9 ends up seeing some decreases for its range, then also its modifiers and velocity. Supri ends up getting its range nerfed and its velocity nerfed. Rival 9 range nerf, velocity nerf. HRM range and velocity nerf. Striker ends up getting some buffs to its damage, but nerfs to its range and a velocity nerf. That was the Striker 9 rather. The base Striker nerfs across the board to its ranges and its velocity. The Wasp 9 worse range and velocity as well, which is pretty crazy. Ram 9 worse range, worse velocity. Static worse range, worse velocity. Then also the Horus Scimitar kit worse range, worse velocity there. So a lot of damage range decreases for sure. For shotguns, we also have a ton of updates here too. Goodness, this is going to be one of my longer videos. I appreciate you sticking around if you do. On the broadside conversion kit, modifier nerfs there basically across the board. Haymaker damage adjustments and decreases to its range there. Lockwood 680 ends up getting a lot of damage range decreases, but also some increases at the same time. So like range 1 damage decreased, range 1 decreased a little bit as well, but range 2 damage increased. really like fine-tuned stuff there. Reclaimer 18 seeing more of the same. For LMGs, the HCR ends up getting some buffs to its max damage and some of its ranges, but also some nerfs at the same time. Icarus ends up getting some close range buffs, but some long range velocity decreases, also some buffs to its modifiers. The Wrap ends up getting a range increase, but also worse velocity there. Sakin gets worse velocity, but some range buffs and some range nerfs at the same time with damage buffs up close. RPK, close range buffs, but then also removing the damage ranges for ranges 1 and 2. The RAL actually sees a lot of damage increases here, but some range decreases. Eradicator, minimum damage decrease. That's going to be worse over range now. Velocity nerf as well. Pulamia ends up getting some range increases, but also damage nerfs there for its close and its long range, which is interesting. Velocity nerfs there too. TAC Evolver, max damage range decreased, velocity decreased. The LSW LMG ends up getting max damage nerf, but a range buff, and then medium damage nerf, but a range buff, and then modifier buffs as well, worse velocity there too. The Bruin also sees some range decrease and some velocity decreases depending on what you're running. Holger, velocity decreased, DG58, velocity decreased. I actually can't believe how many weapon patch notes there are in this. This is wild. So on the SPR, they also made several changes to its close damage, but its velocity ends up getting worse. On the SAB 50, damage gets buffed, but the range also gets buffed. In this case in particular, they removed the first damage range here. Neck multipliers get buffed, upper body multipliers get buffed as well. Lockwood, range increased, upper arm increase, velocity increase as well. That's nice to see. EBR, range gets buffed. Modifiers for the headshot are decreased, but for the arm are increased. LMS, headshot modifier decreased. TAC M, they removed some damage ranges. On the Torrent, they removed some damage ranges, then also increased some of the ranges in general. On the car, they actually decreased the range and the velocity. That's interesting. KVD, range decreases. MCW 6.8, velocity decreases. Max damage range decreases as well. On snipers, Victus, velocity nerf, but one-shot headshot within 55 meters. Imperium, velocity nerf, one-shot headshot within 50 meters. MCPR, velocity nerf, one-shot headshot within 35 meters. LAB, velocity nerf, one-shot within 33 meters. SPX, velocity nerf, one-shot within 30 meters. Stalker, max damage range was decreased to 44 meters for that one-shot headshot. Moors, 70 meters for its one-shot headshot. Handguns, arm increased on the X12. Damon got some minimum damage increases there. P890, lower arm modifier. Renetti, conversion kit, max damage range decreased. I am running out of breath. Now we get out of the weapons and we get into the loot updates here. So obviously all the new Black Ops 6 items are going to be in the loot. They have though removed the clusters, the mosquito drones, and the guardians, the proximity mines, claymores, thermites, and breacher drones, tracker grenades, scatter mines, and redeploy tokens. Loot distribution system will now create further space for any larger items, so they're not going to stack on top of each other. Medicine cabinets now drop better loot there. Buy station inventory and prices have been adjusted. Then weapon outlines are back, so you can see the rarity of that stuff. Below is a summary of each contract. We already know mostly about these: bounties, big games, scavengers, intels, most wanted, signal intelligence, spy drone, elite contracts. We already know all about those. Contract adjustments though: completing the contract for bounties now finishes the down targets that you didn't down yourself. Bounty contract should no longer start without a valid target. Poached in-state now counts as a contract failure for challenge tracking. That's interesting. They removed the redeploy token from the most wanted rewards. Scavenger, the primary reward in battle royale and resurgence, is now an armor plate carrier. So for public events, we still got fire sale, restock, jailbreak, the flyby, recon flyover, and the squad loadout drop as well. For battle royale, there's the contested loadout drop, so there's the limited number of those: the cash drop, the contractor, and the rogue signal. Resurgence still has bounty royale, where it's just non-stop bounties, then high stakes as well. Plunder still has blood money and attack choppers. There's still the gulag events as well: locked and loaded, go again, cash drop, climb, and punishment. All the operators from MW2, MW3, and Black Ops 6 are still there. Vehicle updates here. So they updated the models, improved the natural physics, the camera, the procedural character leaning, improved the VFX, dynamic vehicle depth, and new helicopter simulation and audio, and support for aim-based controls. We have a newly updated firing range, which is fantastic, with a better damage summary. Default armor plates are now going to be there. The default health is going to be updated. Default perks are now going to be applied when you have a perk package in the firing range. There's also a reset speed there, so you can quickly get back into testing. Hit locations are going to be more accurate there, so that's fantastic. There's the moving targets, target collision, then also a line of sight there that removes the vertical walls that broke aim assist when testing strafing. Emotes and sprays are back. There's a new exfil screen as well there. UI and UX updates, so new menu items and changes here. There's the new customized menu for all your like calling cards and emblems and stuff. Legacy content filtering if you're just trying to look at Black Ops 6 stuff. New TAC map layouts there as well. New mini map type. Munition satchel ammo count is now displayed more clearly. The classic squad widget is also back, including many different equipment icons, the shape of armor plates, stuff like that. Loot cards have been updated so you can quickly see what you're looting there. The squad wipe kill feed has now been updated there as well. Kill feed calling cards are going to be displayed easier. Aim assist settings are a bit more fine-tuned. Numerous aim assist settings have changed, including but not limited to the addition of minimum aim assist distance and max turn clamp speed, which is interesting. The loot ping distance has been updated. Live ping visibility, in-game splash frequency, it's not going to spam your screen as much there. Weapon attachment HUD's been updated there as well, so easier to navigate and see what you're going through there. The menus have been updated for playlist navigation, and then the buy station redeploy ping is no longer going to be as obnoxious. An eliminated player who pings a buy station for a redeploy will now show something unique there. It's not going to be spammed and constantly blocking your screen. For audio here, enhanced headphone mode is going to be there. There's going to be new armor plate break audio. Proximity chat's going to be there, but it's only going to be 45 meters instead of 55. Stacking hit markers and sound effects enables displaying both a wall bang, hitting a player in water, and pairing a new audio per marker. Then also bounty squad contracts queues are going to be there. So when a bounty changes from threat 1 to threat 2, you're going to know that. And that concludes the so many patch notes for season 1. I gotta go drink a gallon of water now because that was a ton of reading and talking, but hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, a like would be seriously appreciated, and if you're new to the channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications so you can always stay in the know for everything going on in COD. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.